Once upon a time, but not so long ago, and certainly not far away, there was a magnificent luxury condominium with several luscious amenities. One fateful morning, 13 strangers awakened inside one of the apartments with a note. "This is your lucky day. You have been selected as a contestant on our reality show. This is not your apartment. The keys to your apartment are on the kitchen counter. Please proceed to try all of the doors in the building in order to find your new place. Have fun, and please be polite as you encounter the other contestants." Everyone obliged, and soon they were all settling into their new apartments. Contention was already brewing, however, as the trick to the initial game happened to be that the gentleman whom awakened in the penthouse suite had, in fact, been assigned to the penthouse. 11 of the other contestants seemed to stew about this, but one of them decided to pack up only what he deemed necessary and proceeded to hole up in the basement library. He was an easygoing fellow, so no one really minded. As the players acclimated to one another, they also enjoyed their surroundings. They played billiards, read books from the library, swam in the pool, played tennis. Other than that, their lives were not disrupted for almost 2 weeks. By that time, the gentleman from the penthouse had struck a chord with a lovely female contestant, and they had discovered what connected all of the contestants. As it turns out, they were all aspiring models and actors, and had attended the same networking convention months prior, and had been given the opportunity to take advantage of a free session from a photographer who had showcased his work at the convention. The burgeoning couple had both taken advantage of the free photo shoot for their portfolio and had received the wonderful photographs they had been promised. As this rumor trickled through the rest of the contestants, they all admitted that they had also been chosen for the photographs and agreed that they had attended the session. They also agreed that they had been satisfied with the work and were now even further satisfied as they believed that this reality show was their shot at fame. They were dead wrong. There were no televisions, computers, or other forms of entertainment provided, save the amenities of the complex. Naturally, contestants found themselves reading a lot, as they really didn't have a whole lot to say to each other for the most part. This was, after all, a competition. Right? The only thing about the apartments that any of the contestants felt uneasy about was the absolute lack of anything that could be intuitively used as a weapon. No knives, no corkscrews nor bottle openers, no candlesticks, no ropes. Not even shower curtains. The beer was provided in kegs, there were boxes upon boxes of wine, but ne'er a bottle. Even the liquor had been transferred into plastic bottles. The labels had been carefully removed and replaced. They chose to believe that the producers did it for their safety, and they went about their business as politely as possible. The truth was that they were bored. Nothing seemed to be going on, just a bunch of beautiful people living in a beautiful building, reading books and swimming all day long. It didn't sound very entertaining to them, but hell, people will watch damn near anything these days. About 3 weeks in, several of the contestants began to fall ill. They exhibited general flu-like symptoms, and as the librarian, as the man in the library had come to be known, was also ill, they assumed it was something they had contracted from him. Never mind the fact that they had all been sequestered at the complex for almost a month with seemingly no outside contact. Things started to heat up when a particular contestant, who had a prescription for narcotic painkillers, decided to start poisoning people. The bottle had been in his pocket when he was abducted to play the game, or the producers saw fit to allow him to keep his pain medication. No matter. The beer was all on tap. There were no bottle openers, remember, so everyone had to drink out of solo cups. With the alcohol that had been provided for them and the amount that was being consumed on a daily basis, it wasn't difficult for him to grind up one of his oxys and place them in someone's beer when he wasn't looking. When the first guy was found dead in his lounge chair by the swimming pool, it was deemed unfortunate, but no one read too much into it. They were more disconcerted by the lack of interference from production staff. That evening was therefore spent trying to come up with ways to dispose of the body, not with nefarious intent, but rather for health and comfort concerns. When the man didn't come out of his apartment for a few days, someone eventually took matters into their own hands, broke in, and found his body. He was only caught the night that he attempted to drug the drink of one of the contestants that had been having a fling with another contestant. They hid in the closet when they heard someone breaking in out of fear that this was not allowed, and witnessed him crushing the prescription pill into the glass of water on the nightstand. They came barreling out of the closet, ambushed him, smothered him to death with a pillow, and confiscated the narcotics. They hid the body, and that morning they professed to the other contestants that he must have wandered off or had been killed in the middle of the night. This incited a slight hysteria in the contestants, who had decided to meet by the pool to discuss the issue. Even the librarian had come out of his hole. At this point, everyone was feeling genuinely ill, with some barely able to get out of bed, sick with headache and high fever. It was starting to look like food poisoning. Conspiracy theories abounded, as they were now dealing with either a strange illness that was killing them silently, or were being picked off by production staff in mysterious ways. Or both. So now the game can finally begin. Everyone retired to their apartments early to sort things out on their own. It wasn't difficult, however, as they all returned to find a note on their kitchen counter. By now, you are no doubt feeling a little under the weather. That's because when you were abducted, you were infected with the rabies virus. Now that you are all feeling the effects of the virus, it is too late for your survival. Please enjoy the rest of your life here at the beautiful Coco Condos. One of the contestants, who was one of the first to fall ill and was certainly in the worst shape, actually dropped dead from shock when she read the note. Her neighbor, who was reeling from the news herself, heard the thud of her hitting the floor and ran next door to see what was wrong. She could see her lying on the floor, lifeless, through the window. Saying nothing, she returned to her apartment, locked herself in, and went to bed with a bottle of Jim Beam Blue Label. As she wished, she did not awaken in the morning. After weeks of being the poster children for alcohol abuse, a group that put sorority sluts on spring break to shame, none of you, not one, noticed that neither of us have had a drop to drink in the last 4 days? She was thin, they said. Drinking that much liquor in such a short time could kill a healthy male, much less an unhealthy, petite female. Get real! She did not drink herself to death. She did not die naturally. This was suicide! The man seemed much too upset and much too knowledgeable about a woman he had met less than a month prior. The remaining contestants, there are still 9 left at this point, prodded him to tell them more about the woman's death, and eventually he caved. He related the story of the night he and she had caught the narco killer spiking his drink, the subsequent murder, cover-up, confiscation, and now, suicide. The contestants were upset, but it wasn't worth crying over spilled milk. They asked the man to destroy the remaining narcotics, and they all witnessed him dump the bottle of pills down the toilet. All of them except the librarian, of course. Unfortunately for him, he had returned to the library instead of his apartment and had not been privy to the gravity of his condition. Fortunately, he perished peacefully in the middle of the night. He was the first, and would be the only, official casualty correctly attributed solely to the disease. And now there were 8. 8 bored, beautiful people living out their days in a posh apartment building, no weapons, and a lot of alcohol. Once everyone officially became rabid, things got wildly out of control. It didn't take long when the final death match ensued. It was a violent, bloody encounter between 6 people that essentially ended with them either dying of exhaustion from the brutal battle or perishing from the wounds inflicted during the hand-to-hand combat. And then there were 2. Remember the handsome man and his lovely female consort who figured out the connection between the contestants? They had shacked up together in his penthouse suite, enjoying each other's company, footloose and fancy-free. Unconcerned about their condition, they saw fit to keep mostly to themselves, only becoming involved in the drama when it seemed imprudent not to do so. One morning, she was gone. Just gone. They had fallen ill as well, of course, but managed to avoid murdering each other in the fits of rage by the skin of their teeth. He searched the complex for her frantically during his rare moments of lucidity, but could not find her. By that evening, he had gone mad. With no other possible near end in sight, he drank. And drank. And drank. She had been confiscated. Unfortunately, the most dastardly deed of this entire tale is a twist that is yet to come. Of course, the producers had been watching, so naturally, they knew that it was possible that the female in this couple was with child. Indeed, This possibility whetted their appetites for further destruction. With their end approaching quickly, the producers swooped in and took her. At the hospital, her pregnancy was confirmed. She was kept alive on life support in order to bring the baby to term. How delightful! From a rabid couple sprang forth an apparently healthy, bouncing baby boy. The orderlies at the hospital could not bring themselves to finish her off. Rather, they removed her feeding tube, turned off the breathing apparatus, and allowed her to perish by natural means.